Happy Thursday, Flosstube. Hello, crafty friends. My name's Caroline. Welcome back, Daily Crafty Chat. I live in London, Ontario, Canada, and I do my best to record a daily crafty, chatty video. It's been a day. Oh boy, it's been a day. It is already 5:30 p.m. where I am, and lots of stuff happening today. Way too boring to go into detail, but that is why I'm here much later than I had originally planned on. But I've been very excited about what I wanted to share with you today, what I wanted to talk about, because it has been, it's been a while. It's been a while. I've been saving this up, and as you will have seen from the footage that I put in at the beginning of the video today, I'm ready to share the details on the smalls exchange, the small, not so small stitch that I finished and fully finished for my Stitch North Cross Stitch Retreat partner, whose name is Kimberly. And I had so much fun stitching that. I really did. So I thought I might provide you with all of the details, because I know for the beginning of the process I was sharing what I was working on, what I was stitching. But then YouTube decided to place a moving screen cap on one of my videos where I was showing it. And normally I was saying, okay, Kimberly, close your eyes. And this time, you know, I didn't choose that. YouTube sort of picks what it's going to show. I have no control over that. So anyways, a very kind viewer messaged me and said, we can see your surprise all over the screen. So I stopped sharing it after that point until now. And now I'm going to share it with you. So the pattern that I stitched was by Stichrovia, and it's called Past My Bedtime. So hopefully you can see this. Let's see if we can. It's late, so I've got my light on. There. That's it. So clearly my colors were different, because Kimberly said, you know, we had to send little messages to each other about our likes and dislikes and, you know, preferences for certain things. And Kimberly mentioned that she liked green, she loved green, and that she was a reader, that she loved to read. And so I saw this chart and I really wanted to stitch it for her, because I thought it was perfect. And I thought it would work really well for a color conversion easily, because looking at it, there are just three main colors, right? It's pretty easy to see that there's a dark blue, medium blue, and a light blue. And, you know, those are the main colors. And then the other colors, you know, this one, it adapts well to doing whatever you want to do. You could even stitch the whole thing in one color. That would look good too. So let me share the colors that I used, because lots of you also really liked the green. And so I'll share the greens that I used, and then I'm going to tell you my future plans for this stitch, because I actually want to stitch it again. Believe it or not, I want to stitch it again. And Clara, if you're watching this, now's the time to turn it off and say goodbye. Not that I think you're watching it, but just in case, on the very off chance that you're watching it. Mom and Dad, if you're watching it, that's okay. Don't give away the surprise. Clara is my niece, and she is a voracious reader. She is my brother's daughter, and my brother is a voracious reader. He always has a book on the go. If he's not reading a physical book, he's listening to an audiobook all day long. And it's been really fun to see my niece Clara take after him in this way. And she just loves reading, and she's always reading a book. So I would like to stitch this again for her. So let me share my colors with you, and then I'll tell you how I'm thinking of finishing it. Okay, so I chose 3 shades of green, and my favorite greens are the Prairie Schooler greens. So I think, I always think of these as the Prairie Schooler greens. 520, DMC 520 is usually the one that, do you remember my Prairie Schooler Santas? Oh, that brings back memories, doesn't it? My headless reindeer who was headless for what, 6 months? Anyways, I should bring that out again. It's the end of October. Surely it's time to work on Santa again. Okay, so I think of them as Prairie Schooler greens. So the darkest green was 520, medium green was 522, and then the lightest green was 524. So those were the 3 shades of green that I chose. Now, I stitched that piece on a 40 count piece of white linen. So on 40 count, I use 1 thread over 2. And there was one more symbol that required an even darker shade of green. And I could not find a darker shade of green that I really liked to match with these 3 greens. And frankly, there really wasn't a lot. There wasn't a lot of it that was needed. And so I used a little trick that I am going off my memory here. And I've even forgotten the piece that it is. I know exactly what piece it is. I just cannot remember the name of that piece. So it is a piece that I started along with Crafty Kim. We started it together when we were at our Elmhurst retreat. Oh, and I cannot remember the name of it. And it's such a beautiful sampler. And of course I haven't stitched on it since last summer. But anyways, like last summer. I'm stitching that 1 over 2 as well. And it called for a blended thread. So just like you would get in a dimensions kit where you use 2 strands of floss or 3 strands of floss that are different colors, and you put them together, and then you make the stitch, the X or the 10th stitch, you make it with those different colored threads put together. So a blended stitch. There were some blended stitches in that piece that I started with Crafty Kim. But when you're stitching 1 over 2, you can't use 2 threads, right? You've only got 1 thread to work with. And it was, I want to say it was Sylvia Perez Hardy's suggestion to do this. And I might be misremembering this, but I think it was. Sylvia suggested using 2 colors, 1 for the bottom leg and 1 for the top leg. And that way you get the blended effect, but you only have to use 1 thread at a time. And it really, really worked. So what I did was, in order to achieve that slightly darker green color, I used the 520 I used on the bottom as the bottom leg. And then I used DMC 310. I used black to go over the top leg, which made it appear darker just for those little sections where it was needed. And it was perfect. I thought it worked really well. There was another accent color, the letter I. You can see the letter I read past my bedtime. It's got a different color, and that color is also used in the border. So I chose 372. So that worked quite well, because it's green, but it's kind of a, oh, come on now, let's focus. It's a bit of a yellowish green, and that worked quite well. And then in the border, I'm gonna keep this up here so it stays focused. There's one little stitch in the middle of what I thought of as like a little flower, and it was yellow in the original, but I made it this sort of corally pink color, because coral, in my opinion, coral and yellowish green, they just look beautiful together. Any kind of green and coral, I think, in my opinion, is going to look really, really pretty. So that's 758. So there it is with the green. You can see it's awfully pretty. There. Just such a nice combination. And that's what I really love about doing work like this. Choosing floss that I already have in my stash, playing with color, putting stuff together that looks nice in my opinion, and just having fun. It really was the perfect chart to do that. So, and it was super simple. So we're at the end of October already. I did mine in about 6 weeks. And I was a fairly monogamous stitcher for the last month. When I had time, I was working on that project because I knew I had to get it in the mail. And so if you were looking for a Christmas present for the reader on your Christmas list, this would make, I think, a really great gift. So I turned Kimberly's into a project bag, like you will have seen from the beginning clip videos. But what I'd like to do for Clara, and I will show you I'll show you my giant pillow tomorrow, okay? So so that you have something to look forward to. And I already have something queued up, ready to show you tomorrow. So many of you know and love Ms.Pattie, my friend Ms.Pattie, who I always do. For the last 3 years, I have gone to Ms.Pattie's house at Christmas time, and I have filmed a very special Flossmas video with Ms.Pattie. She has the most beautiful home, the most beautiful stitched pillows and ornaments and decorations all over her house. It really is astounding. And she's just a really wonderful lady. And so I'm going to link to those videos down below just in case you haven't been introduced to Ms.Pattie yet. She's a treasure, and I miss her. I really miss her. This weekend was actually, I believe, if I have my dates right, this weekend was supposed to be our second yearly stitching retreat at the Elmhurst Inn, the one that I was just mentioning with that I went to with Crafty Kim last year. And I have been going to that retreat for years. We started off at a different location in Grand Bend, Ontario, and then it was hosted and run by my original local needlework shop, Thread and I. And then when Kathy and Neil retired, Ms.Pattie and her friend Joanne and Ms.Pattie's daughter Carrie took on the organization, and they volunteered and ran the retreat. And there's usually anywhere from about 18 to 22, 23 people at this retreat. And obviously this year, both retreats have been canceled. And I miss my friends. I really miss my friends, because these are, at this retreat, it's all women. We don't have any men in this particular group. Though Ginger Gerald did manage to make one of the retreats 2 years ago. So that was fun to have him here. But it's up until now, it's been all ladies. But Ryan, if you're watching this, maybe, you know, when we can eventually, now Ryan is Ellen's friend, Ellen, Maximum Cross Stitch Power Hour, and Stitcher Extraordinaire. And we keep hearing a lot about her friend Ryan on her videos. And I've gotten to know Ryan a little bit through Instagram and through Ellen. And he seems like a really nice, fun guy. I think he'd fit in quite well. So maybe, you know, maybe we can get him to come to one of the retreats. But I'm missing my friends this weekend. I'm missing Ms.Pattie. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to do a Christmas video with Ms.Pattie this year. I don't know. Everything is still very unknown. So we'll just have to see how it goes. However, we can enjoy the last 3 years of visits that I went and recorded her absolutely beautiful home and beautiful stitching. And Ms.Pattie is the one who shared with me, and through me to you, her love of stitching massive pillows. She takes a design, and then she uses a fabric where she can, instead of going smaller, you know, and so instead of stitching 1/1, she stitches 2/2, but on a big fabric. So say take for example a 14 count Aida. Instead of just doing the 1 square, she would go over, you know, the 2 squares and use, how much does she use? Sometimes it depends on which fabric she's using. Sometimes she uses 4 strands of floss, and sometimes she uses 6 strands of floss. and it just makes these really super fun, huge, giant pillows. I will show you mine tomorrow. And that, all of that to say, that's how I want to finish the I Read Past My Bedtime. That's how I want to finish that for Clara. And then it would be something that she could cuddle with while she's reading past her bedtime. So that's not going to happen this Christmas, but her birthday is at the end of March. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. But it's at the back of my mind that I really would love to make that for her. I think she would really love it. And you know what? You're never too old for a giant pillow like that if you're a lover of reading. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that you enjoy visiting and meeting Miss Pattie if you never have before. Again, I will leave the links in the drop-down box below. And I'll be back tomorrow and I'll share my giant pillow that she made for me. I'll share that with you tomorrow. And that's it for me. It's almost dinner time. John has offered to cook tonight. Lucky me. I'm a lucky girl. And I am going to go back to my sewing. I am dreaming about sewing. That's how much sewing I'm doing. I go to bed and I dream about sewing. At least they're not nightmares. I mean, they're good dreams. I'm just still sewing in my dreams, which is really quite funny. But I'm going back to my sewing and back to my packaging, and I'm thinking it's going to take me until Monday. So I'll be a few days late with the first shop order. So those are the orders that were placed in the shop from the 18th of September until the 27th? 6th of September. I can't remember the date that I did the second update with the second batch of bags. But anyways, anything up until that first update will be out in the mail by Monday at the latest. I'm getting there. I am getting there. I'm getting close. And then the second shop update was much smaller, and that won't take nearly as long. And so I'm still on track. I had mentioned that I would have all of those bags out 2 weeks past the date of the first shop update. So I believe the date is November the 6th, which is a Friday, 2 weeks from tomorrow. I am still on track to have all of those orders out in time. I know I've been talking a lot about my work lately, and I hope that doesn't bother those of you who are not here to hear about project bag making. However, that right now at the moment that is my life. That is my daily crafting life, is my work. And I'm lucky to have it. So I will bid you adieu for the evening. I will see you tomorrow back here in this space. And Luna sounds like she's ready to go too. So have a great evening. I hope you're well. I hope you're safe. I hope you get to enjoy some stitching time tonight, and I'll see you tomorrow. So take care, everybody. Happy stitching.